Welcome back. This is Rubbin Minds. We've been having such a great time from our two segments, and this is the final segment. And this is the segment where we celebrate women. Happy International Women's Day in arrears to all the beautiful, strong women in the world. It has been said that once you empower a woman, you empower an entire generation. However, there are certain concerns that we have, concerns about gender equality. As we speak, only 34 women in 31 countries are currently head of states. And the UN projects that it would take women about 130 years to bridge that gap so that there's an equal representation of both men and women on such a global scale. So yeah, that's what we want to talk about today. IWD 2023. Is there a win for women at the polling booth? To discuss this with me, I have a very astute politician, the one and the only Asiwaju Kesi Sheung Adedamola. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, so let's jump right into it. How would you rate women's performance in the last election?
I would like to answer a different question because I don't think it's a function of their performances.
Right.
It's the function of what is the enabling environment, because I'm an active politician. I can tell you for free that the environment is not very friendly to women. It's as if they only, there's a song we like to sing that, we sing it in Yoruba, that when it's time to gather the votes, you remember that we have the bulk of the votes because we can influence our husbands, we can influence our children, and we can influence people, the community. But when it is time to get reward in terms of appointment and political office, we don't get as much. So I think that in terms of the enabling environment for a female politician to thrive in our climate, we're not doing very well on it. And we have to be intentional. It's not just going to happen. So let me give you an example. I'm married with children, and then you fix a meeting consecutively for 1 a.m. If my husband goes out at 1 a.m., chances are I'm like, okay, boys hang out or whatever. If I wake up my husband consistently that I'm going out at 1 a.m., what does it speak about me? So some of these, I think there has to be intentionality, to think about the woman, to realize and remember. I mean, we just have to be intentional about it.
Right. Speaking about intentionality, I'm aware that some parties would say that we're going to zone 40% of the seats to women, or we're going to zone a certain percentage for women. Sometimes they will say, oh, for the forms will be free or discounted for women. Do you think those things are sort of helping, or do we need to address a deeply rooted issue to sort of empower women more? Okay,
so I think that the first place to start is gratitude for the little that you have. So I contested in the primaries in my state, Ogun State, and we were asked to pay half of our nomination form. So that's encouraging, and we're very thankful for that. But beyond that, the truth of the matter is that there is deep-rooted, I think, saying that we're going to give a slot to women. The first question is, do we see through, or does it only sound good on paper? Most often than not, it only sounds good on paper. We don't see it through. By the time you look for a woman, you can't find a woman. You say, you know what, why are we bothering ourselves? We need to drive deeper and not only say, this is the right thing to do, because it is the right thing to do.
Of course.
And a lot of people have been saying that maybe Nigeria will become $1 to $1 when we have a female president.
I would really love to see that.
So yeah, I hope in my lifetime I get to see that. So I think we need to, as I said, be more intentional. Some of these things that we're saying, we need to put our, put our money where our mouth is. We need our men to drive it. We need them to make, I'm not saying we want to earn it because we know that we can do it, but I think that there are some extenuating circumstances that is not allowing it to be done well, and we would appreciate more effort in that regard. I don't know if that answers
yeah, of course it does. So now we're talking about the political parties. Now let's talk about the electorates.
Right.
We can't deny the fact that there's a level of, permit me to use the word, maybe misogyny, right? That is deeply enrooted in their mindset. They would naturally gravitate towards a man as opposed to a woman. So how do you think we can be able to sort of, as a society, start correcting those misogynistic mindsets amongst the electorates?
I think that, one of the agencies that I actually like, but I consider it to be grossly underutilized, is the Nigeria Orientation Agency. I remember, I don't know if you can, when we were growing up, and there was this campaign about a civil servant can have only 4 children. You see that a certain demography, almost all the children around that time were just 4 in their family. One
My
of
parents.
4. Because there was a conscious, there was another one, they call it Feto Bibi. They said it in Yoruba, they said it in English. At the point, it was just acceptable that you can't have more than 4 children. Now, you are correct that, and I have had instances in which I'm in the car with my driver, and everybody is saying, well, hello, sir, to my driver, and I'm there, sitting down. Do you understand? Because that is how we're very patriarchal. So to come back to your question, I think that we all have a role to play. I think that the social media, the media, we have to make a conscious effort, even in parenting. It's something that it's across every sphere of life. In our churches, you see some churches that you can't be a minister if you're not a man. And so what does that say? Does it mean that the only people that God can use are men? It says something to the subconscious of the congregation. It says something to the subconscious of the people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So it has to be, I would say, a community-wide effort, and we must start it as parents. It starts in the home. You are not inferior to your brother. So I have a son and a daughter. Whatever my daughter does, my son does. He needs to realize and understand that the fact that you're a man does not make you a superior entity to your sister. You are different, but you are equal. So we must propagate that gospel. We are different, we're wired differently, but it does not make one less than the other. So yes, to answer your question, it has to be nationwide, it has to be a concerted effort, an intentional effort to speak to that. But it's a long walk to freedom. It's not going to come easy.
Right.
But, we'll start somewhere.
Right. Taking a cue from what you just said, you mentioned the family. And the family is the basic unit of the society, right? The family is the basic unit of the society. So once we get things right with the family, hopefully we can get things right with our society. And if we look at the family system critically, you'd see that leadership position in the family is almost clearly defined, that the man is the head of the home.
Absolutely.
I like what you said, that you tell your son and daughter that both of you are different, but nobody is bigger than the other. Now, taking it to the parents, the father and the mother, how can we define the leadership to be different but equal?
Well, it's like, there's this thing, they carry me where I don't go. I don't know. They carry me go where I don't know. But you see, it's in that context. What I see and how I define it and how it works for me is, I say that my husband has the casting vote. So in the board, for example, you want to make a decision and it's, say, 50-50, and then there's one person that gets to, get one extra vote just because he's the chairman of the board. However, an individual does not make the board. You just so happen to be the chairman. I'm a Christian, and I'm quite conservative and traditional, and I believe the Bible that says clearly, the husband is the head of the house. In that context, there is no way around it. It is, I appreciate that, I honor that, but it doesn't mean that I'm less of a partnership in that relationship. It just means that when we get to a tie, I realize that I don't get a casting vote. So that's how I like to prism it. So, and we function effectively that way.
All right, so we're almost getting there. We have some elected female officials in this current dispensation. How much responsibility do you think they have, owing to the fact that they are the representatives of not just the entire nation, but also women in particular, and their performance and how they perform in that particular office can also sort of open people's eyes to what a woman can do when given power. So how much of a responsibility do they have?
Well, I don't think that they have any responsibility differently from the men. They're role models, and I think that, well, perhaps it just behoves on them to make a conscious effort to show. So one of the things that I do is I try to tell young girls that there is nothing that you cannot achieve if you set your mind to it. And I got that from my father. So when you are doing well and you say that to a younger lady, because you have walked that path, it's easier for her to believe you and understand you, you know, because you're living the reality. So I don't think that they have any extra responsibility than to do well. However, the only thing I would say is there's an extra added layer for them to consciously mentor the younger female folks. And we've had excellent women in Nigeria. And I was talking about, you know, the Dora Kiyuli. Are you talking about Gozi Okonjo-Iweala? I mean, are you talking about so many people, you know, so many women? We have strong women in Nigeria. I love them, I celebrate them, but we must do more to continue to inspire the younger ones that you can do it. If I can, so can you.
All right, so now let's talk about generations, right? The youngest generation is the Generation Z. I don't know if you have a child or children in that category, but there's some sort of pandemic happening with that generation and also the millennials as well. There's certain values that seem to be changing. Okay, I'm trying as much as possible to put this in the best way that I can, but we now see a generation that you see that young girls, they aspire to be the best they can, right? So I don't want to generalize. Some of them aspire to be the best they can, but also you see some imbibing certain qualities and high dependency on men, you know, for certain resources. I don't know if you get what get where I'm going to. So how do you think we can sort of, you know, encourage the girl child that you are powerful, you are independent, and you are also equal with this man, and you should try as much as possible to be the best that you can?
You know, that is a very sensitive question, and I see that you're picking your words so that you do not, people do not hear what you have not said, because sometimes people hear what you didn't say.
Right.
I think, again, that at the heart of some of these behaviors is greed. And greed is the enemy of the heart. You know, what is enough? There is never enough of anything, but you must be able to say, you know what, how far can I go for what I think that I need? Some of that is also, I have to go back, and parenting is so important. I cannot overemphasize it, all right? That is very important, because I would not, for example, my nephew, you come home with a G-Wagon, you are, how? Where from? Or my niece. From where now? We are going to, me and you are going to the police station. So what about, there was something I was reading on social media, just to underscore the importance of parenting, about association of Yahoo mothers. People who know that their children are Yahoo and they have an association. What does that speak to? It speaks to defective parenting. Do you understand what I'm saying? But irrespective of what their parenting is, this is me saying to the girl child, what is in between your ears are so powerful. You can be anything, you can earn everything that the man is earning without doing some of the things that you have. So believe in yourself and go for it. You're gonna get it.
On that note, I'd like to say a big thank you to you. And on behalf of the men, I would like to say that we respect, we honor women, and women are such an incredible, you guys are the integral part of our society, that without the women,
so give us our 40%.
Yes.
Give us our 40%.
We'll give you your 40%. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's what we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Rubbin Minds. Catch us next week, same time, same station. My name is Hero Daniels. Bye for now.
We represent